Hello, everyone. Welcome to Tya Talk. I am solo today because I have some things I want to share with all of you. I'm going to turn on comments. So as you log on, say hello. Let me know that you're out there. Let me know where you are right now. And just if you haven't registered, you'll come up as Facebook user, but that's okay. I want to start with thanking all of you for being part of the community wherever you're watching from right now, whether it's our YouTube channel, our Facebook page, or our Facebook group, the Taya Practice. We broadcast every Wednesday morning live into all of these places. We've had a fantastic audience. Hi, Brent. Hi, Sam. And I really want to show my gratitude for all of you showing up and participating in all of the things that we do on these platforms. But what I really want to dig into today is that I have some really exciting news and some big changes coming to our Stream of David / Taya world. If you don't know what the stream is, if you're brand new to all of this, I am a channel of source consciousness that we refer to as the stream. It's not human. It's not a person. It is the entire universe essentially that I channel for the benefit of humanity, all those who are aligned with it and receiving it. And what we have found over the last 4 years since I've been doing this publicly is that the information that they provide is very valuable. It helps people transform their lives. And when I started doing this in 2017, the world was a different place. I think we can all look at what's going on in the world right now, going into 2022, and compare it to 2017. Realize the world is a very different place. The world was not perfect back then, and it's certainly not perfect now, but it's changed dramatically. And the reason that I started sharing this is because the stream is something that I've had coming to me my entire life. It got me through a very difficult childhood. It took me through twists and turns in the first 20 years of my adult life. And then when I really started allowing it to flow in my early 40s, it profoundly transformed me. I had what I would refer to as a Kundalini awakening in 2010. And since then, it's really been flowing. And it started flowing to a point where I realized that I couldn't just keep it to myself anymore. I could no longer just stay employed in a corporate environment where I could help people to an extent with some of this knowledge, but I really couldn't help people in all of the ways that I wanted to. Those that are wanting to be helped, that is. And so in 2017, I left my corporate job. I started a podcast called The Stream of David. That podcast lives on today. We're at almost 200 episodes now, 4 years in. And when I started doing this, I had no idea what I was going to do. I just wanted to do the podcast, write books, do live workshops, which we've started doing now, and just really share the stream's message with the world. And this opportunity came around for me to develop an online coaching program and coach this really to people all over the world. Anybody that listens to the podcast, anyone that has an internet connection where we are available, we have seen people from all over the place come into our coaching program. But it was never really about the coaching program in the beginning. It was about the message. The coaching program became this amazing conduit to really bring people in deep into the stream's teachings, immerse them in a practice that allows them to take those teachings and apply it in their lives practically, which is where the Taya practice came from. So it's as if we have all of this information coming from the stream, or we do have all this information coming from the stream, and it's very profound. It makes sense once you really get into it. It answers all of life's questions for sure, but how do you take that and apply it in your life? How do you become that? How do you become your own unique version of that? And how do you unlearn all of the things that humanity has taught you? We refer to that very often playfully as the matrix, that belief system. How do you unlearn and unravel that belief system and adopt a new belief system? Well, Taya Bootcamp emerged as a tool to allow people to do that. And somewhere along the way, we really got into the groove of bootcamp is for everyone that is aligned with the stream's teachings, and it is, and it always will be. And bootcamp, it was a very important component to all of this. And bootcamp sort of became this elite thing for those who could manifest the money to get into it. And then we got into, well, if we're going to have this high ticket coaching program, then we have to have all of this marketing and all of this stuff. And we got into doing that. And a lot of times I would take a lot of the teeth out of the marketing that was being developed because it seemed to always be fear based. And as you all know, we're not about fear. So we've never really wanted to send a message out that you have to be in Tya boot camp or your life's going to be miserable or anything like that. But we did step into that vibe of boot camp is the path. Everybody needs to get into boot camp, and there's a threshold of price to get into boot camp. And that wasn't my original intention, but we moved into that certainly, and I will completely own that. I don't regret that. I don't apologize for that. It actually created this super high vibrational community of people who did come in, who did invest, who went through it, who helped us co-create it over 4 years. Because even though the stream delivered it and I was the first student, the subsequent students actually helped us really flesh it out. Because all of these amazing ideas that the stream delivers, all of that is universal law. All of that is the energetic realm. But we are in the energetic realm, but we're in the energetic realm operating in polarity. So imperfection, certainly, and variations, different personalities, different learning styles, all of that stuff. Having all of these people come through boot camp and give it the power to transform their lives and be challenged by it helped us create a better and better and better Tya practice. And I can look back now and say that 2021 was a peak year for Tya Boot Camp. More people coming in, more lives transformed, more high vibrational community created from the people coming through boot camp in 2021. And we've had more people stick around, meaning moving on to other programs, moving on to mentoring, to coaching. We've built a vibrant community as a result of that high vibration of boot camp in 2021. But moving into 2022, seeing that, okay, the pandemic was a reset for humanity. The stream said that early on. If you go back and watch that video that we did in March of 2020 when the pandemic hit, the stream said this is a reset for humanity and it's going to continue to unfold. And the more fear we put toward this, the more it's going to continue to blossom that way. Remember, they don't judge anything as positive or negative. So even if we go to world war, they're saying that's humanity blossoming to this new vibration that we're creating. Sometimes things have to be torn down to build again. And if you're detuning fear and judgment, well, the idea of things being torn down or falling apart or whatever isn't frightening anymore. This Tya practice gives us tools to view humanity and our experience in humanity very differently. So what I've seen happen is we had a pandemic. We already had a lot of polarity, more polarity than I've seen in my lifetime in politics. We're already seeing religions crumbling and coming into question, and people really moving away from organized religion. We're seeing people question politics like never before and really going down into that polarized mindset around all that stuff. And with all of that fear and all of that polarity, what do we see happening? This unfolding of the pandemic and all of the fear around the pandemic and the fear mongering around COVID and all of that stuff that gave way to then the vaccines. And now we have the battle around the vaccine that has been politicized from day one. It's just this continual unfolding of angst and fear and judgment. And I know that humanity doesn't want to operate in that, even if they're in it, even if they're down there slinging the mud. I'm right, you're wrong, my side is the right side. All of that judgment and all of that demonization of all of these things that we see, that's not an uplifting vibration. And by and large, humanity is not going to stay parked in that space. Something is going to boil over or transpire that is going to cause this further adjustment of humanity. We're already deep into this reset at this point. And the reset is what's causing all of this. Those of us that aren't paying much attention to it, that understand that what polarity is, and understand that the systematic detuning of fear and judgment, trusting the universe to deliver abundance, we see that show up in our lives. My life is one unfolding of abundance after the next, after the next, after the next, even if it's not the 3D version of abundance. It's still abundant, always. It's always showing up. The people that are deep into the practice with me, it's always showing up no matter what. And where we move to in this practice is anytime something slows down, unravels, stops working, demanifests, that's also our manifestation. That's us sort of unraveling something to reveal an even better version of, if we allow it. So getting stuck in the, oh my gosh, I can't believe that went away. I can't believe I lost that thing. I can't believe I have this big problem coming up when I've been doing all of this work on my vibe. And now I have this spin out on some topic. Oh no, this is awful. None of this stuff works. This law of attraction stuff doesn't work. There's no such thing as a universe, all of that stuff. We hear all of that. But we know better. We know better because we're in this practice, regardless of what level you're practicing it. We do know better than that. So when things start to fall apart, that means something even better is coming. And as long as we look at what we want and appreciate the process, it unfolds beautifully. So what is unfolding for me is seeing how humanity is asking for a path out of polarity, a path out of the fear and the judgment and the demonization and all of this stuff that's going on now, all of the political stuff, the pending war. Supposedly China's taking over the world, and that's what COVID was all about in the first place. And all of the world leaders are conspiring against us, and the vaccine is about controlling us, and all of that stuff. And then the pushback on anyone who questions all of that stuff. So we see all of this confusion, all of these conspiracies and conspiracy theories, and I know there's some of each of that. And it's very easy to get pulled into all the fear of that and the polarity of that. But Tya is the path out of it. Tya is absolutely the path out of it. And the stream's message is the path out of it. And I know that. And I'm very humbled to be able to share that. And the sharing of all that was never about building a business. We built a business, but it was not about that. The stream doesn't judge anything. So the stream was like, if you want to build a business, build a business. If you want to have a boot camp, have a boot camp. If you want to charge whatever you want to charge, that's fine. The source is not judging any of that stuff. But in service to humanity is where my focus is. And I want to be authentic in that. And being authentic in service to humanity is not this carrot that's being dangled of, you got to get into boot camp. And if you don't get into boot camp, you're not going to get it. I will tell you something that we really haven't talked publicly about in boot camp. I've been enrolling people in my boot camp program for 4 years, and it's expensive. I tell everybody right off the bat when they get on the Discovery meeting, it's a $10,000 investment to get into Tya boot camp. That's a lot of money to a lot of people. Some people not. I've had plenty of people say, fine, no problem. Here's my credit card, and they get right in. But for most people, it's a big stretch to do that. And generally, we're working something out over time. I have never turned anyone away that came to me with a plan to do that. But what I have done that I don't want to do anymore is, if somebody didn't come up with a plan, I would say, okay, they're not ready for this. If they would just say, well, that's way too much money, I can't do that. Oh my God, I didn't know it was going to be that much. They got off the meeting. I felt like crap. They probably felt like crap. And I would always refer them back to the group, because the Facebook group has a lot of free stuff in it. So my attitude was always, we have stuff that's free, and then we have something that's really high end, right? But that didn't work. That's not really serving humanity. So from this day forward, we will no longer allow money to be the threshold for anything that we do. We will no longer market. We will no longer push. We're no longer going to sell anything to anyone. Are we going to exchange money and vibration? Absolutely. Absolutely we are. We're still, there are things that we utilize that create overhead, of course. But I really want to move into serving humanity first, really putting the message out there without any need for anything, practicing what we teach, trusting our abundance, opening up a portal for vibrational exchange, donations, different levels of minimum donations if you want to do different things and things like that, but not this financial threshold. I want anyone who wants to move through the stream community and move through learning Tya to understand that that is available to all humanity. It always has been, but I really want everyone to understand that learning this process is not about, do you have enough money to get in? We will never do that again. We will never do that again. And I'm not saying that we were wrong to do it before. That was the vibe that we were in. I see now that we need to create a whole new vibe. And this whole new vibe is the stream is here for all of humanity. The Tya practice is the application of their teachings without fear, without judgment, without rules, and certainly without worship. We are never going to be any of those things. The stream is not about that. Somebody asked early on about, are you God? Do we worship you? And I love the response, and I'll never forget it. The response was, we are the source of all creation. Why do we need you to worship us? I thought, oh my gosh, I've never thought about that before, but it's so true. It's so true. Source is the universe. Source isn't looking to be worshiped or obeyed. Source is providing abundance to all of us all the time. And all we have to do is really let go and allow ourselves to trust it. And I understand that we have to learn to trust, because we have been taught across humanity what we refer to as the matrix, those teachings that don't trust, hard work, be fearful, everyone's out to get you, the world is an evil place, there's dark energy everywhere, you got to watch out for it. I have never, ever gotten that from the energetic realm. The dark energy, I'm very aware of it. I've experienced plenty of dark energy. That's humanity. That's ego. That's polarity. That is physical stuff that we create just via our separation from source, our separation from trusting our natural state of abundance. The earth is an abundant environment. It's absolutely an abundant environment. Abundance is assured for all of us, but we've got to get out of our own way. And so, in believing that and teaching it, and still holding on to this idea that I allowed to infiltrate, that we had to have this threshold for anything that we do that had something to do with money, is not trusting. And it seems so silly and so clear. But again, we create these scenarios for ourselves to move through the experience until we are ready to allow the new vibration to emerge on any topic. So we've had a phenomenal 4 years of me sharing the stream with the world on the podcast. The podcast has always been a thing that's there for everyone, but the podcast has been highly, attuned to, oh, you need to get into boot camp. I just got off a meeting where somebody's saying, oh, could you stop with that stupid commercial about boot camp? It's so long. So it's not even on the podcast anymore. We took that off several episodes ago. We just stopped doing that. We're not going to do that anymore. We will always have people in the Thai community on. The whole idea behind that is to inspire everyone. And now that we're opening the doors to everyone, there's no price threshold for getting into this and learning this practice. There's not, and there never will be. So with that announcement, that's the most exciting thing that I'm announcing, is that we are trusting our abundance. We're putting ourselves out there. We are offering this up to the world, and we are going to create a new place where everyone can go, regardless of what you're ready, willing, able to return in terms of dollars, that everyone could go. And it's not going to be on Facebook. I have made the decision to migrate everything stream and Tya away from social media, and create our own container. That's not happening right this second, but it is going to happen over the next 90 days. So over the next 90 days, we will be migrating away from Facebook. We'll be shutting down the Tya practice group over the next 90 days. We will continue to do some things in there, continue to be part of it and use it, but we will be making announcements of some place that we will all be able to go and gather, that is not social media, that's not bound to an algorithm, that doesn't have all these distractions. I can't tell you how many people in our world tell us that they would not be on Facebook. I'm probably going to get banned for saying this. They wouldn't be on Facebook if it weren't for this, that they just come here for this. And there's a lot of aspects of it that they don't like. And I understand that. because it's hard to go on and not have that stuff in your face. This is what's scary is going on in the world right now, and this is what's going on with COVID, and this is what's going on with Russia. And a lot of people just don't want to have that infiltrate their psyche while they're coming on and seeking out this type of information. And if people want to be on Facebook, I think that's great. I think there's a lot of positive aspects to Facebook. People keep up with their families and friends, and I keep tabs on people from way back. When I lived in Louisiana as a kid and all this stuff. There's positive aspects to it, but for what we do, we want to move to our own place, our own home that isn't specifically monetized. That you don't have to necessarily pay a threshold to be there, and that isn't um, isn't tied to an algorithm and isn't clouded with all these other vibrations and all these other things. It's uniquely ours and specifically ours. So we are in the process of creating that. We will probably move to more of a suggested donation model, which is fine. That way, anyone who wants to come in and learn the stream's teachings and be part of this, it's always been open to everyone, but now I want to be crystal clear that it's absolutely open to everyone. This is for humanity, period. And that's always been the intention. And now I am at that full place of trusting that this is where we're going. So if you have questions, I see a lot of you saying a lot of nice things. I appreciate that. Love getting off of social media. Yeah, there's a lot of distractions on social media. It's really easy to get drawn in. In fact, not to demonize. We're all about not demonizing things, because anything that we demonize, we're actually feeding. We're giving it power. And I don't want to get into demonizing Facebook, but social media is somewhat designed to sort of draw you in, and very often fear is used to do that. And we're not about fear. That's why a lot of the marketing stuff over the years that has been presented to us didn't work for us, because they always wanted to use fear. You must join Tya Boot Camp or your life is going to be miserable. I don't necessarily think that's true. We were talking in the last masterclass that we'll ever do was the one that we did earlier this month. And I believe people are served by Catholicism and different belief systems. Everything has the power that you give to it. And if somebody is giving that power and believing that that message is what's giving them abundance or protecting them or healing them, their belief in it is creating that reality. And that's a wonderful tool if that's the case. So we're not about demonizing or judging anything. We are about understanding universal law in its purest form, which is what the stream has always been about. It's very simplistic. And learning to systematically apply universal law in our lives as opposed to the matrix, which the matrix is simply the Earth's, humanity's belief system, which is very much rooted in fear and judgment. So the systematic detuning of fear and judgment allows us to trust. It's sort of this scale. You detune fear and judgment, your ability to trust goes way up. And that ability to trust goes way up. You love yourself more. You're judging society less. You're judging yourself and your path less. And as you do that, you have more source coming in. You have more source coming in. You have more clarity. You have more clarity and more source. The need for other things falls away. That's the magic of Tya. The need for millions of dollars or a beautiful home or the perfect partner or to lose 50 pounds or the need for all of that stuff just falls away. You just stop caring so much about all of that 3D stuff and you just love being. And when you get into that lovely space of loving being and not needing and having the clarity of source there, which is always there, abundance is assured. Because in the not needing, the abundance always just flows right in. And life is magical. And you do get to partake in humanity's blessings, all of these amazing things that we've created. And the stream has said over and over again, anything that we look at with appreciation is an expression of source. Source is in everything. So that's why we detune the judgment. Source is in COVID. Source is in to vax or not to vax. Source is in Putin. Source is in all of these things. So when we value it as source and have a deep appreciation, meaning a deep understanding of, we're detuning it. It has no power because we're simply appreciating it. There's no negative energy there. There's no negative power. That's why nothing is truly evil, because we're all eternal beings. So getting to this level of clarity of the stream of source is what I want to offer up to humanity. And I always have. But I really, really, really want to move into that now. And anything that gets in the way of that message, I want to allow to fall away. Marketing, sales, all of that stuff. All of that stuff. I want to allow all of that to flow away, moving toward trust all the time. Trusting our abundance. Trusting our abundance. The whole concept of business just falling away completely. This is a message. This is a message. This is a channel message from source. And those that are aligned with it, we are here to serve those that are aligned with it. And it's for all of humanity. So that's my big announcement. The biggest things, we're no longer going to allow money to be a threshold for anything that we do. And we are no longer going to, we're going to migrate away from Facebook. We're going to create our own platform so that we can all go, we can learn Tya regardless of what level you're at of doing that, and have community. Community is more important than ever, because there's so many people operating in the matrix, and we're not judging them. We're all in the matrix at times, for sure. And I want to be really clear about what this whole idea of the matrix is, just to point out that this operating system of fear and judgment that humanity is steeped in, we're part of that, but we're not looking at it in judgment. We're looking at it in appreciation, because it brought us to this place where now we are able to detune the elements that are no longer serving us. That's the thing. Detune the elements of the matrix that are no longer serving us, because we don't need the fear and we don't need the judgment. We don't need all of the 3D structure. We don't. I've lived my life that way at different levels for years, and I'm going more and more and more, just diving into that now. I want to be fully enveloped in that light, and I want to share that with everybody who is aligned with that. So yes, the migration off of Facebook will be over a 90-day period. The intention is during that 90-day period to build our own platform so that we have all of our content in one place. We will keep the podcast, because that's just such a beautiful thing of outreach. We'll probably still be on TikTok and Instagram, because it's just a great place to connect with people. But my vision is TikTok and Instagram is a great place to discover the stream. Maybe then listen to the podcast. From the podcast, then you go into our community that we have complete control over, that isn't social media. And then from there, you start your journey, and you're there as long as you want to be there. And if it ever comes to a time that it doesn't resonate with you anymore, then everyone's free to leave. Always, of course. So any other questions from anyone about any of this? Nonprofit. I don't know exactly. I've Googled, I've talked about it. I've talked to some people about it. That's what I'm thinking, that it would be more nonprofit. I have never intended for this to be anything that I would sell as far as a business goes. Do I want to partake in the money that flows into it? Yeah, of course I do, because I want to be able to do this as my living. Because I haven't worked since 2017. I don't intend to go back to work for anybody else, because that would just take me away from doing this. But my life is abundant no matter what, so I'm not really worried about that. But as far as building a business, the business part of it, I've never cared about the idea of going public. I'm not going to sell this to somebody. I know that does happen. There's these platforms that you can sort of sell your intellectual property to, and then it's in sort of a, where people can subscribe and have all these different teachers. I'm not really about that. I'm not going to leave this to anyone. I don't have any heirs. So when I'm gone, I want anything that I have and everything that I have to go into this. And I'll be very transparent and very public about that. So if that's a nonprofit, then yeah, that's what we're doing. We're not looking to create a profit center for a business that goes public or anything like that at all. That's never been the intention with any of this. So Cheryl says I am literally speechless, and that in itself is a miracle. Are we talking about a separate source developed for Tya specifically. Yes, we're in terms of source, uh, meaning probably a website, probably an expanded our website expanded into a social media platform. I'm much more robust because our website is not that right now. Most likely it's going to be our own website, thestreamofdavid.com will morph into something much more like a Facebook group. Video training, live video, real-time chat just like this, lots of training tools, portals for everyone who's there to contribute to it in dollars and intellectual property and thoughts and ideas, posts, all of that stuff. As long as it's stream centric, Tya related, sharing, yeah, it would definitely be that. So the boot camp material will be available. I am not just opening, up boot camp to anyone and everyone. I do think there needs to be a journey to boot camp, and we'll have to kind of figure out exactly what that looks like because boot camp is a big deal. Boot camp is a lot of coaching, a lot of interaction. I don't want to sully that because the boot camp experience, Bob, as you know, is very special. Is very, very special. So there's a vibrational alignment and a readiness for boot camp that we want to know about. I don't want dollars and cents to be the thing that stops somebody that's ready for boot camp. And it never has been, but I've always looked for that person to come to me and say, hey, this is what I can do, or this is what I'm thinking. And I've always said yes. Over the past 4 years, I've always said yes to that. Now I'm just making that very public that I will always say yes to a plan for boot camp, for exchange for everything that you're getting out of it. And I've enrolled a lot of people just saying, I know, what can you pay in deposit? I know that you're going to manifest the money. Let's not even worry about that. And I have to tell you, in 4 years, I've never had anyone not pay for boot camp ever in 4 years, ever, 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 not one person. So I always say that you're going to get in, you're going to learn how to manifest it. So let's have a vibrational agreement and give that the power, and you're home free. We've always done that. It's just we didn't talk about it. We didn't publicize it because there was fear present. There was still that little vibration of, oh, you don't want to do too much of that. I don't care about that anymore. That is fallen away. That's our old matrix that we're moving out of. So how do we make the transition? We're keeping this alive for the next 90 days, at least. So we're not going anywhere. We're not going to just turn off Facebook and leave you all high and dry. We are going to migrate. We're going to build it and let it manifest. And then we're going to migrate everybody that wants to go over there. And we're going to talk about it a lot because I know not everybody's on here every day. We will talk about it a lot, and we will migrate everybody over to it. And it will be something that everybody that wants to be part of will be able to be part of for sure. So that's the answer to that question. T-Bird says it's a great living nonprofit, still gives you that. So T-Bird, if you know a lot about nonprofits, I'd love to meet with you. So send me a message on Facebook. Send me a message in Messenger, and or just right here, let me know if you do know a lot about that. I would love to talk to you about it because I'm just starting to get into researching that stuff. But I really feel the vibe of that because the whole vibe of this is we're in service of humanity, and price should not be a threshold for anything that we do. That's the crux of what I'm offering here. So, any other questions from anyone? Go ahead and post those. If I missed them, just post it again. Thank you all for the fantastic response. If anybody's not happy with this or has an issue with it, I'm always open to hear those things too. I'm not changing my mind about anything, but I do want to hear about that because I do appreciate our community, and not everybody's vibing at the same place. And if this is something that doesn't sound like it really vibes with you for whatever reason, then we can talk about that as well. I always welcome feedback. I love critical feedback. I love that. If the podcast doesn't sound right or there's something you don't like on it, tell me. You're not going to offend me. It would be very, very hard to offend me. It would be very hard to offend me. So let's not make that. Somebody, Facebook user bootcamp is not going away. I forgot I can show these things on here. I'm missing Debbie G right now, who's always so good at all that stuff. So I do appreciate all of you showing up. If there aren't any other questions, I won't keep you. I'm just really, really excited to share this with everybody. I'm as on fire about this personally as I was when I decided to quit my job with no plan, having no idea how I was going to support myself in 2017, just knowing that I was going to be okay. And I've always been okay. I have always been okay. So I move into this just so lit up and excited that we're going to be able to reach so many more people just by being able to not have the price threshold, but also not the stuff that kind of turns people off about a lot of the things that we do. Oh, this boot camp thing, they're just trying to push a program. I understand the mindset of that when people hear that. And I really appreciate the people that stick around anyway. All of you that stick around anyway. I really, really do appreciate all of you, but I appreciate those that hear that there's stuff that maybe we sell stuff and, oh, that's not so cool. That's not really in alignment with what I'm looking for. So you're not going to hear that from us anymore. We're going to be all about join our community if you want to be part of this. And then the community will obviously be a exchange portal, but it's going to be open to everyone. And we will have levels of support that will open up, and we'll have levels of teaching because, again, boot camp is still going to be a very special 12-week thing that's going to take time and commitment on your part. And there will be vibrational currency exchange for it. There absolutely will, because it's going to do that much for you. But I don't want anyone who thinks, well, gosh, I don't have $10,000. I can't go do that. I don't ever want that to be the barrier for boot camp. Ever, 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 ever. When you get through it and you get into this mindset, the whole concept of $10,000 is nothing. And I can't tell you, it's interesting over the years, the people that got in and didn't fret about the money always manifested the money back. And I used to start telling people that, like, if you get in, you're going to manifest the money back. And then they started looking for it. They got into the vibration of need, and then they didn't. So I stopped telling people that. Oh, I don't say that anymore. But we're not about dollars and cents that way. That was the old vibe. But it's very interesting when people are really free flowing and cool about money. Money is free flowing and cool about them. And that fear thing, though, is very pervasive. And I don't want anyone who has that fear around something costing money to feel like we're out to take money from them. That's not a good vibe. That's not what I'm looking to do. It never was. It never was what I was looking to do. And I just want to be very crystal clear that it's not going to be. That's absolutely not going to be. Bob says something good. Bob just graduated boot camp. I will say the financial investment stretch was key, but also happy about the change. That is key for a lot of people. When people are really stretching to invest their dollars in boot camp, they give it a lot of power and take it very seriously. And I've always liked that aspect of it. But now we're moving into the realm of vibrational currency. So it's not going to be something that is just absolutely free for everybody and that's it. And it's going to be more vibrational currency of come in understanding that I know you're going to pay for it when you manifest the money, and we're not going to worry about that. It's not a barrier. I want to be very clear about that. I don't ever want it to be a barrier. So, hi, Mike. Good to see you on here. You'll have to, if you're just joining, you'll have to watch the replay to get everything that I've already shared. I don't see any other questions from anyone. So I will sign off. Thank you all so much for watching solo. We will be back. I'm not going to be on Thursday this week, but I will be back next week with a Tya Talk with a guest. So again, stick around in the group. Just watch for our announcements about the migration away from Facebook, and watch for our announcements about all of the new things that we're offering and all of the ways that all of you can participate in it, regardless of how much you can invest in it in dollars and cents at this time. Bye, everybody.